Welcome to Roxtalks, the podcast that helps network marketers grow their business on social media. I'm Roxanne Wilson, and all month long, it's our anniversary for Social Stories. I've been highlighting different Social Stories members, people that I have had the great honor to work with and help them along their journey and their trajectory in network marketing. And today we have a very amazing woman. Her name is Dr. Lisa Anton, and she happens to be an inspiration in so many different ways. Yes, I said doctor. She's an eye surgeon. But one of the things you'll hear her talk about, and you'll hear me make sure she shares with us, is that Dr. Lisa just recently, and ironically, before I'd asked her to be on the podcast well before this, but she just last month reached a big milestone with her company in the sense that she's on one of those powerhouse teams with Rodan & Fields is the company she's with. And she was the number one salesperson out of 2,500. Her volume was number one, which is a huge accolade. And if you're familiar with that company and the team she's on, it would amaze you. So I love that she's here. I love that she's in the community. And I love that you're going to get a chance to hear how someone who had no background in marketing or any of those things, but started network marketing, came to be and came to get it, came to Social Stories, and what she's done with all of the things and all the resources and all the community. I know you're going to hear some things in here that are really going to relate to you. And what I hope you see from this is that you can do it too. You finding you can make it happen. So let's take a listen. As you know, this has been the anniversary month for Social Stories. And if you're listening right when it came out, there's still time for you to learn more about Social Stories and join one of the master classes that I've been offering all month long. The master class is all about how to stop being spammy Tammy. And believe it or not, you may be in denial. You may be spammy Tammy. If you'd like more information and get real world application on how you can stop being spammy Tammy and really get real on growing your business on social media in a way that gives people life and doesn't make your family and friends want to run from you, I highly recommend you join us for the webinar. Simply go to socialstoriesmembership.com/webinar for more information. Dr. Lisa, thank you so much for being on the Roxtalks podcast. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I mean, how could I have a podcast and not bring you on? Because your story, you in general are you're so inspiring, but your story and your journey through network marketing is one that I know a lot of people resonate with.
Possibly, I guess.
I think so.
I'm happy to share it. I'm happy to share it because I absolutely love my journey. And part of that has to do with you as a coach and the community of our rock stars that we have. I call them rock stars. But yeah, it's been an amazing community and an amazing journey, and it continues to evolve.
I love that. Yes. And that's a good reminder. Life evolves and we evolve as we move forward with things.
Absolutely.
So let's start at the very beginning. As you know, Maria von Trapp says, very good place to start. How long have you been in network marketing?
I've had my business for almost 4 years, so 3.5 years.
Nice. And you're with Rodan & Fields.
I am with Rodan & Fields for 3.5 years, almost 4. In August, it'll be 4. So actually close to 4.
And I'm going to try not to bury the lead. I want everyone to know right now, and we'll get to how you got to this point. But you just had a huge milestone that you hit last month. Can you tell us what that is?
Okay. So I am in a group. Well, we all have our uplines. I'm in a group of about 2,500. And I got the top, whatever you want to call it. It's, the language is, but anyway, top sales. So.
You're number one out of 2,500 people. And those in Rodan & Fields who, like, you can ask or message her later, what team is it? When you hear the team, you're gonna be like, oh wait, there's a lot of really heavy hitters on that team. And you were number one.
There are. And they're inspirational too. The heavy hitters are inspirational. Because usually look at that every month and you're like, when you first start, like, oh, there's no way. And then you're creeping close to it and you're like, okay, maybe. But my goal is never to ever get there. It's just to keep my head down and keep working. And if it happens, it happens. I'm totally blessed if it does. And if it doesn't, then it's the journey that I've learned. And I continue to learn about, my network marketing journey.
You are detached from the outcome is what you just said, which I think is phenomenal.
Correct. Because I don't have control over the outcome. I can have control over what I do and what I'm coached to do and whether I follow through with that or not. But I can't determine the outcome. So I can just keep plugging away and keep trying to apply things more and more.
I think that's phenomenal. Before we go to how you got there, I just want to also say, you said that you always look at that list and you're like, wow, maybe one day. I hope you realize that there are people on that list that are like in different spots on that number going, oh my gosh, maybe one day I could have a volume like Dr. Lisa did. So congrats. That's huge.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I guess I don't look at it that way. It's kind of funny. I look at things and I always set goals. Okay. But, I just I've always been a hard worker. So you just keep doing the do, and then you give yourself grace if you can't do the do and you don't make it that month or that year, or whatever. Life happens. So, yeah. But I have an inspiration. My coaches, you're absolutely wonderful, Rox. And the group of community that have helped me along has been amazing. And the development of how far I've come is just amazing too.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate you so much. So let's talk about how you got there. So you started in network marketing with Rodan & Fields almost 4 years ago. And what was that like? Because you're Dr. Lisa. So you tell us what you do, I should say, and what it was like going from that to network marketing.
Okay, so I've been a eye surgeon for almost 30 years, and I've basically not needed to market myself because I'm with a health maintenance organization called with Kaiser. So patients come, they do, and we're evaluated according to how we do with the patients, how the patients are satisfied. But otherwise, you don't market yourself per se. Otherwise, it's word of mouth. Patients maybe like you, and then they refer other people or other families. So I didn't have to really work at being able to recruit patients to myself. So when I started the business, there was no intention at all to sell. Absolutely not. It was my son's acne. I was a mama bear. I was looking for something to help him because I saw how it affected his self-esteem. I bought the consultant kit at a discount, just wanting the discount for my own skincare because I was needing something at that time. And then at the time also, I was going through some trouble at home. My husband and I were separated, and it was very stressful for me because that wasn't the idea. It wasn't the way that I thought my life was going to end or end up with. And so I just started using it, and people noticed it at work. So they said, oh, what are you using? And I said, oh, here. And I gave them one of my cards, and, they wanted it or not. And that's kind of how it evolved. And then I realized, I said, hey, this is kind of a gift too, to be able to give to people. And that's kind of how it evolved. And, I just kind of kept plugging along because I was working also and just working the business on the side, going to get-togethers where we would introduce the business or the products, and just working with my local team. That's how I kind of marketed for a while. On Facebook, a little bit of Instagram, word of mouth. That's pretty much, but no plan. There was no plan as far as that goes.
Which I think is how a lot of us get into network marketing. We're just kind of we putter along and just kind of see what happens. So what was it that turned on the switch for you to start taking it a little more seriously?
I think I felt like it was kind of getting stagnant for me. I felt like I wasn't growing. I had consistent customers, but I felt like I needed to grow. I think I saw somebody's, I just noticed something different. Like, for instance, I follow a lot of people just because I want to learn from them and examples. And I saw a couple of people that I think were working with you. And I really liked their brand, like what they presented themselves as. And prior to working with you, I didn't, what the heck is a brand? I don't know, and but I just saw what I liked, it just presented itself, and it looked like, I go, I want to do that. It's kind of like you see somebody and like if you're working out and you see somebody at the gym and you're looking and you're like, I want to look just like that, or I want to be able to hit that goal. So that's kind of how it kind of started, is that I think you just get to a point where you're sort of feeling like you're plateaued, whether you are or not. And then I signed up with you. I didn't sign up with Elite initially. I signed up just as kind of a month to month kind of looking at it and seeing how it was going. And that's how it ended up.
And so what made you go from, I love that. And it's a reminder that when we see things, we're like, I want to be able to do that. Stagnant is something that we can all, or comfortable, or whatever you want to call it, can happen. And that's when we kind of lose that loving feeling for something. So I love the fact that you're like, gosh, I want more. I want to jumpstart this. I need a little something to get this rhythm going. And I love the fact that you're a lifetime learner as well, too, which I think is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So when you joined Social Stories, because you mentioned that, awesome. What made you, you said I just was doing month to month and kind of just figuring out what made you go, oh, wait a moment. What clicked for you, I guess, is my question for you.
Okay, so first of all, joining, I was very overwhelmed. Okay, so I just want to tell people not to feel bad if they feel overwhelmed. Totally normal. But at that time, I think I joined right before the holidays. So things were ramping up, like, you need to do this and you need to do that. And you don't have to do anything. But I think for people that want to achieve a certain level, that they feel like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. So it wasn't a rhythm. It wasn't like something that I was like trying to post every day or trying to put things out. It was effort for me. And I'm not artistic. I am like, when my kids would have art projects at work, I mean, I totally would get stressed out. I could operate on somebody. It wouldn't bother me at all. But art projects, oh boy, I just get sweaty and everything else, because that's just not something naturally that comes. So for me to be natural at creating things wasn't there. So I think that was sort of some of the angst for me when I first started. And then there's a lot of things that you can do, but I think I sort of realized that, okay, if I just sit back and try to do things. So I wanted to go to Elite because I wanted more. I wanted, you had the, it's not a symposium, it's a...
the summit.
Yeah. The summit. And so I was calculating it out, and I said, oh, shoot, okay, I'm going to pay this for this and this for this. And then if I go to Elite, I'll pay this. And then it makes business sense. It totally does, because we meet with you. We have access to you. If we need any questions answered, we have one-on-ones when we talk about our business, or sometimes it's not even our business. Sometimes it's social, like, what's going on or something's happened in our lives, but just a total support. So Elite's been, and then now we have this wonderful community of people that have joined the Elite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. It is definitely worth every penny, for sure.
I love that. Thank you for that. I remember one of our first one-on-one coaching calls after you did join Elite, which actually, if you do the math, I think you've been in Social Stories for Elite for about a little over a year.
Yes.
And then Social Stories almost 2 years. Is that right?
Yeah, almost 2. I think it was in October that I joined.
Yeah.
And you know what? And the funny thing is I joined, I joined, and then I didn't do anything with it for a while, because, then I started getting the emails and stuff, and I'm like, oh boy, I don't know. What did I get myself into? And it was a total avoidance thing, right? And then I'm like, okay, let's just do this. Because you were giving us at that time templates and things that we could post and help us along, which helped tremendously. You held our hands for a little while, and then you said, okay, it's time for you guys to grow up. You can do this.
And you're rocking it. But I remember one of our first one-on-one coaching calls. You were working on your holiday guide, and you were doing some things in Canva, and you were just like deer in headlights. You're total deer in headlights. And I was like, oh, like I was just wanted to hug you, which actually now I realize we didn't live that far away from each other, so I could have hugged you. But it's amazing to see from that point where you are now. It's just wild, and like the confidence level you have in what you're doing and what you've mastered. Can you tell us some of the things that you have been working through that has helped you build your business, helped you get to the top of the list of 2,500 people on your team in your company?
Okay, so I'm one that I'm all in. I volunteer, whatever, and then all of a sudden I realize what I got myself into. Okay, so I tend to not necessarily, I'll jump in with all feet, but then I'm like, oh boy, I need to do this. So Canva for me was like the total avoiding, like something new. And I had to give a presentation. I actually paid my son to do a Canva presentation for me, because I just didn't feel comfortable using it. And so then I said, okay. And then we have Leslie, who helps us with our Christmas guides or our gift guides. And I'm like, okay, that's easy to do. So then what happened is I started getting in there, and I'm like, oh, well, this is kind of cool, because I've always been kind of a Hallmark fan where I like cards and that type of thing. And so I started to learn it. And then all of a sudden it seemed overwhelming, but I think if you just continue to do it, and it's not so overwhelming, and it's a gift. And then the email thing was another thing, the flow desk. to send out emails. So now I send out at least once a week emails to people, and I'm like, oh, this is easy, just using Flowdesk. But I want to tell you, that was avoidance too. I signed up for Flowdesk, and I was like, okay, well, just sit this through. Let's see. It's kind of like BeLive, right? It's on the back burner. Yep, I'm paying for it, but whatever. It's
when
just
you're
about
ready.
a comfort level when I actually get pushed. And sometimes I get pushed because I say, to somebody like, oh yeah, I have that guide. And then it's like, and they go, oh, well, I'd love that. And I'm like, okay, I guess I better create it now since I said I had it. The ideas and stuff are there. I mean, the whole thing, but it's actually creating it and putting it on paper, which is good because it's something that you can reproduce. In other words, somebody else wants it. Like today, like this month is June Acne month. So I had created like videos last year, and I watched them, and I said, "Oh, those are kind of clunky." Yeah, but they've gotten.
You realize you've come further along the road.
Oh, God, and don't you remember the live? That was a year ago. Yeah, you did a live challenge, and I jumped in on that, and I went, "Holy moly, are you kidding me?" I mean, it would take like 2 hours to prep. I'd say it over and over and over again. And then, like when you get on there, you're like dimming the headlights, like, oh my God, now I'm live. You gotta be kidding me. And then your mind goes blank. But no. And now I just kind of, it's like on the fly.
You just do it.
You feel more comfortable, more confident.
Yeah. And you've listed off a lot of things that you've learned. And people are probably like, wait, Canva, wait, emails, wait, all these things. Just so if you're listening, you're like, what the heck do y'all do in this social stories thing? Just so you know, we go through each and every step. Bit by bit by bit by bit. And you'll laugh at this, Dr. Lisa, but Scott has been saying that he wants to start a podcast, which I'm like, do it. And he's ready to post on social media and all these things. And so he has the week off this week. And we had a little time. I'm like, okay, yep, I'll sit down and we can start your Instagram. So I start helping him with his Instagram, which helping someone that you love with social media is a pain in the rear. Okay. Mom, if you're listening, I mean you too. And so I was sitting there with him, and I talked to him through the bio and what it needs to mean and all those things. And he was like, okay, all right. I'm like, so go do that. And he's like, aren't you going to show me more about Instagram? I'm like, no, actually I'm not. You're starting with the bio. And he was like irritated, like he thought I should show him all these things. I mentioned that now because I think it's very much like social stories. We're going to start at the very beginning, and then you build. So when you're hearing her talk about these things she's accomplished in the last year of Elite and, almost 2 years of social stories, it all builds on each other one by one.
I totally agree with that, because I think we were just on a call recently and there were some newbies on there. And so we were talking about emails, and they're like, what? It's an evolution. It's not expected. And the good thing about you, Rox, is that you won't do it for us. You will show us how, and then you'll prompt us and say, you can do this, and then you review it, and then we'll critique each other. I mean, it's something nice about this group that we don't judge each other, but we basically help each other and are willing to help each other out. And sometimes, there's many of us in the same company, but we're not competitive. We're a community to help each other learn.
So true. So true. And I try. My goal is to show you what to do, but also tell you why you're doing it. Right. So you understand why you're on social media, why you're getting people off of social media onto your list. And then great, now that you know the philosophy, how you do that.
Yeah, I remember when you first told me about getting them off your list, off social media, and I'm like, why? And then it totally makes sense to me now because of obviously what's happened in the last couple of years politically, as far as social media. A lot of people have gotten off social media. Mm-hmm. And there's just, in order to touch a customer or a prospect, a future prospect, you have to go at it all angles, because I don't open every email every day. I don't look at, and then they've got algorithms for social media that maybe something's going to show up and maybe they won't see it, or maybe they're not even on social media for a week. So you just have different ways, and you've given us different ways to be in contact with your customers.
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that's so exciting to see with you is that you've really leaned into the emails, and you've leaned into building your list and getting people onto your list. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's been like and what that's done for you?
Okay, so it's been it's been an evolution, because I didn't realize I'm posted on Facebook, they should see it. why wouldn't they see it, right? And then you're realizing that you figure out the way that your customers work. Like, whatever your age group with, and being specific, not all people with skin. It's basically a certain age group, a certain person. I forgot what you call it. Avatar. Yeah. Who's your avatar? What age? And you have to realize that everybody is not on social media. Emails, depending what time you send them out, depending upon your subject line, whether it's catchy or not, whether you're going to open it. I think the email list has been really important because it just is another avenue of being able to be in contact with people. And people actually forward my email. Like, I do a weekly newsletter, and it's not just about skin, it's about wellness. And for a while it had a lot of COVID information and that type of thing. It's just about giving them a little snippet of information, or maybe just an inspirational quote or a recipe that they're looking at, depending on the time of year. It just is another reason to be able to keep in contact. And the nice thing is they can forward it. Like, I have a girlfriend that forwards it to her family every week so that they can see it, because she feels like it's helpful. So, yeah.
I love that you're providing value, and I love that it's trickling on to other people as well too. Mm-hmm. You will cringe and maybe chuckle a little bit in a nice way, because we don't know. But I received an email from that I don't do network marketing really anymore, but whatever. I got an email from an up line that she was sending to everyone, and it was sent like she blind CC'd everyone to send out a mass email. And I was like, oh, I wanted to call her up and be like, there's actually a better way to do that. But we don't know what we don't know, right? And so clearly along the way, no one has taught her that, and there should be no expectation. I think that your upline or your company should teach you that. And that's why we talk about like Flowdesk and other things. But I'm curious for you, and I love that your emails have trickled around, but you actually get sales directly from your emails too, don't you?
Absolutely. The nice thing about that is with Flowdesk, you get the metrics. And so it took me a while to figure that out, but I figured it out. You can actually see who opens it, the email that opens it. So then you can have a touch point and say, hey, I saw that you showed some interest in the email specifically, instead of having to send out this mass email, and then get in contact with them more on a personal level. But yeah, it's really interesting because I noticed a trend, like if we're having some promotion of some sort, that when the email goes out, and then I always resend it the next day, because not everybody opens their email the same day. As a matter of fact, the thousands of emails that are unopened in my inbox. But anyway, that's a different story. But yeah, and I noticed there's a trend, and then sometimes they'll open it 2 or 3 times. So I'm like, okay, then I can reach out to them. But I don't want to be that person that is obnoxious, that continues to hound people, because I definitely don't want to be known as a hounder. I just want to be able to give the information. I educate. I love doing that. And if it gets sales, great. If it doesn't, and it just helps them expand their knowledge, that's even better too. So
you're making impact, and that's what matters. And I think that's what gives you credibility as well too, because they know she wants to give us value to enrich our lives. She's not just here on social media or on emails to say, buy my product, or join me in business, which I think is phenomenal that you do that. That connection, that relationship that you have built with people is invaluable in so many different ways.
Well, it's relationship marketing, right? It's about developing relationships with people, because it goes beyond, way beyond the sale. It's all about building relationships with people. And you know what? If you still end up selling the product, or you're still with the company, you still have, or you leave it, or something happens, you still have that relationship with people. Yeah. And that's what's the most important thing to me, is building that relationship.
Oh, that's so true. I love that. That's poignant for sure. So people want to know, I know people want to know, how the heck did you get to the top of that list of 2,500? How are you number uno of a list of 2,500?
Okay. So I think it's about knowing, a light bulb kind of went on, and you've told us this, but I'm a little slow sometimes. But, you have a brand, so you have a particular type of customer typically that you tend to draw. And I think for my customers, I like value. Okay. And I think I draw that in. Those are the type of people that I draw in. And so this particular sale happened to be a good one where it was like 20% off everything. And so I just reached out to people and said, hey, I know you were looking at this. So I did a lot of personal reach outs. I actually didn't do a lot of social media. I did a couple, but that wasn't the main goal. I think I switched my way, and I've learned over the last probably few months that it's really that one-on-one connection, that taking the time to call them. I don't even think texting works. You know what I'm saying? It's just people want to hear your voice. And yes, it takes time. It really takes time. But I like that too. I enjoy catching up with them because I don't want them to think that I'm calling because I want a sale. That's not true. Right. And I actually continue with those relationships and contacts, even if we don't have a sale and even if we don't even talk about my product. It's about just being genuine in a relationship.
So there's so many good things you said in there, because it is relationship marketing and it's relationships, period. Add marketing to that because of what we're talking about. But I think it's so important to remember that, and Roxanne Wilson, am saying social media is not the end all. It's the marketing piece of things, right? And so when you think about your business, I think a lot of network marketers, once Facebook and Instagram became this thing, thought, oh, I can just do my business fully on social media. And then there it is. But it's one arm of the pie. It's the marketing portion. Does it help that Dr. Lisa posts value of any kind? I'm not talking about specifically about your company, but that you post regularly on social media and people feel like they see you. So that when you pick up that phone call, they're excited to talk to you. Absolutely. Those phone calls matter more when people feel like they know a little bit what's been going on in your life, even if it has nothing to do with your business. So I think that's so important to remember. But I love that you have a balanced diet of what you're doing. I'm going to call it a diet of what you're doing so that you've got all the components going. That person you picked up the phone with is also on your email list and sees you there. And they get your weekly emails. They see a post or a video on social media. And then when they get Lisa in person, it's like, oh my gosh, when you call on the phone, it's like almost like that influencer, because you're influencing their lives, is now picking up the phone to talk to me, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. No, it has to come from all different directions, I think. And I'm learning that it's evolving. It's definitely evolving. And you've emphasized that, is that, yes, the marketing part is like Instagram or Facebook or whatever you're using. But that, to me, I really treasure the relationships that I have with people.
Yeah.
Not a fly-by-night type person. That's just not me.
Oh, good. And you also said something that I think is important to remember for those listening, because sometimes we see someone's success and we think, I'm going to do exactly what she did. And you said text messages don't work for you. That's you and your target market.
Right. Well, you know what? I think as a reminder, like, I hate calling this it's not an auto ship, it's a flex ship, but I do reminders that way because sometimes I'll get caught like short on amount of time, but it's just a reminder. Some people do it. They say, well, we're adults. We should be able to, people should be able to regulate their own account. And I go, I get that, but you know what? I appreciate a reminder. I appreciate that customer service when they call me up and say, hey, remember this, don't forget, because life is busy. And sometimes you'll scroll through your emails and forget. And then the worst thing is that then they get something and they didn't really want it. Yeah. So then now you're backtracking that way. So.
You just reminded me that I need to skip my Fabletics from this month. I'm like, is it too late? Okay, I still have time. Remind me. But I think that's what you're saying is true. When I get a reminder email, or when I got an email about my collagen the other day, just reminding me that order is coming up, I'm like, oh, thank goodness. I appreciate it. I know it's on me if I miss it, but I do appreciate that reminder. So I think that's a great way of using it. But I do want everyone to remember too, that for you, text messages might work amazingly for you. And maybe it's not emails, but for your clientele, you've tested it, that what works well is that phone call and emails. So how did you get to the top 2,500 again? There are people watching that want to know everything you did. And
I know somebody asked me like the breakdown of because you have you have consultants on your line. What was the percentage from that versus what was the percentage?
And none of that honestly matters.
No,
here's the funny thing about it, because and you actually didn't give yourself the credit you deserve because you said, well, my people like value. And then, and there was a sale, but it wasn't like it was just your sale. All of the people, the 2,500 people on your team, they all have the same stinking sale.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's
sure
true.
that some of them have people who love value. So it's more than that. And I think when we see someone like you, Dr. Lisa, who has accomplished so much, we have to remember we're seeing the tip of the iceberg, but there's all this work
That's
that
right.
you put into it underneath the water, underneath the surface that has gotten you to this point.
Yeah, you see that picture of that iceberg where people, you only see the top and then bottom line. You don't see your legs swimming like this, like a duck underneath there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, well, I just need to send an email or call everyone too. No, you could do the exact same thing Dr. Lisa did, and it's not going to work for you because you just did it. The
But
work
it takes a while to develop that too. I think you have to develop your brand and be consistent with it and consistently I remember you telling us, schedule your lives, which I still haven't done, by the way. But anyway, that you'll get, but it's on the list. Yeah, now that we're on Be Live, I will take advantage of the subscription I'm paying for. But there's certain things. There's always something else that we can do. There's always something on your list to continue to keep you moving and continue to be learning. I'm a lifelong learner, and I hope everybody else is too, just because that's kind of how we prevent the onset of dementia and that type of thing, is constantly willing to learn and be open to be learning new things.
That's such a good reminder. It really, and it helps us grow in so many ways. I have to say, you said being consistent, and I agree with you, of course. I think the thing that happens is that we can get stagnant in a company, loving our company, loving what we're doing. If you're always being told to do the same thing over and over again, and you're on a team, people come and go in network marketing. We know that. Like the people you started with are not the same. They're not all the same people that you're with right now. I think, and you can tell me if you disagree, I think that's what makes social stories so important. Because there's people that the community is amazing, as you said multiple times, but there are people from all sorts of different network marketing companies who are there, and they're all at different stages of the journey, and it keeps us all on our toes and keeps us working and going for more.
Absolutely. And life happens. And the thing that on social stories is that, somebody may say, oh, I'm going to go back to school. And they go, well, I'm not going to be on here. And then all of a sudden she'll pop on and we're like, hey, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad to see you. And it's a family. It's about the community. And I think human beings really crave community. We really do. And then especially with this lockdown that we had, even more so. And we figured out a way to continue doing that by Zooms and just getting online or Be Lives or whatever you want to call it. But I think we love a community. We're meant to be in a community. So the social stories is a great community. Very supportive, lots of different companies, always learning something new. And then you always come up with some new fitness thing yesterday, which is okay.
Oh, the funnel fitness. Did you enjoy that?
I really did. And then, of course, I told you the analogy with the dating.
Yes.
Yes. And it's so true because when you're trying to meet people, you're like, okay, yeah, no, your first date, you're not going to say, okay, I want to have your babies for you.
Right. If you're wondering what the heck she's talking about, I didn't actually teach although I'm a jazz instructor or a retired one, that's not what I actually did. But we did the training every month. We do a live training, and it was what I call funnel fitness. And it was helping members really get really clear on their funnel. Somebody like, funnel, what? Don't worry, you join, you'll understand. And how to really check and make sure that you are making the customer's experience a delightful one from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you enjoyed that for sure.
I did. And I felt, I'd sort of been busy with life in general. And people do that and they kind of drop in and out, but we always check up on each other and make sure everyone's doing okay.
Absolutely. So what would you say to someone who is thinking about A, joining Social Stories, or B, joining Elite?
Make the jump into Elite. It's well worth it. You will gain a community of incredible people. You'll have access to Rox as well. But it's just, we meet, the Elite group meets once a month. We have our, and there's all these trainings. And then you get the videos. You have access to the videos. at any time as far as that goes. And so you can, if you can't tune in live, then you can basically watch the videos. But the information is just amazing. And, it's really interesting because Rodan and Fields is kind of coming to where, starting some of these things that you had started, but 2 years later, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it doesn't mean that we're ahead, but you're never ahead or behind. But I just think in general terms is that it's join Elite. It's well worth your dollar. It really is. And even it's just about learning about if you have no marketing background, which I didn't. I had nothing as far as what to do with marketing. She has steps for you to take to feel comfortable, whatever road you want to do, Facebook, or if you want to do Instagram. There's just a wealth of information. Flowdesk, she had these videos out before even Flowdesk University came along.
I know. I was like, I already did that.
Yeah, I know. They copied you. They copied you, Rox. And it's just, you won't be sorry. It's so worth your dollar. It really is. Absolutely. The value, from a value person, the value is definitely well beyond. And it doesn't make sense for you to kind of pay for everything piecemeal. Doesn't make sense.
I love that. Thank you for that, Dr. Lisa. You are an inspiration.
Thank you.
You are. Watching you, and I love getting to watch you grow and be part of your journey. So when you sent me that message saying that you were the top, and I you won't brag, so I'm going to keep bragging about you. It just
I don't.
You don't. It made me so very happy because I know you've put in the work and you've done it bit by bit in your own way, and you staying true to who you are has generated this celebration, the success. It was not your goal. I get it, but man, it feels pretty good, doesn't it?
It really does. And I have to emphasize the importance of what you have taught us in regards to our own journey. We have to find what works for us and what works in our timetable, like as far as what other responsibilities that you have in life. But you have to do what works for you. Your upline could be telling you, and I have always been a pleaser, and I always follow the rules, follow. And the thing is that you have to decide, and you've always emphasized, what does your gut tell you? What does your gut tell you? Does it tell you that it's right to do what your upline's telling you? If you don't feel like it's right, don't do it, because it's your integrity. It's your integrity that you are dealing with, not anybody else's. So, and it's your life that you're dealing with. So, yeah, and you've been so good about that, and just saying, listen, what does it tell you? Does it make you feel good? If it doesn't make you feel good, if it makes you feel icky, then don't do it. Because it's your name, it's your reputation out there. It's not your upline's reputation. So it's been good.
So good. Thank you so much, Dr. Lisa. It's been so great to hear your story. I can't wait to see where you are a year from now and to infinity and beyond. And we're getting lunch because we live close to each other.
I know. Well, you were off in the Bahamas.
Priorities.
Yeah. And so I'll be around during the summer. We'll get together for sure.
Fantastic. Now that we're open in like 11 days officially.
Yeah. The 15th, and it goes poof.
It's just like it never happened. We live in Southern California. It's like it never happened. I will tell you that I was in Arizona picking up Baylor, my dog.
Yeah.
And it was weird because like we would go into places and we were the ones with masks. Like, what's happening? Because they're wide open. And so it was like, and then I felt like, am I breaking the rules by taking off I felt like, I don't know, someone's gonna come get me. Like, you live in California, put your mask back.
Oh, I know. You know what? It's funny because now that I've been vaccinated, there's certain places that I have to wear a mask, like going to yoga. Mm-hmm. Yet when I work out at the gym, it's a small little gym, then I don't need to wear a mask. So I'm constantly walking back to the car because I'm like, dang it, I forgot a mask, or, looking for a mask or something to that effect. Because now you've kind of gotten into that habit. It's a nice habit not to have to wear a mask to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Although there's some places where I think I closetly will still want to wear a mask.
Yeah. I think at the hospital, you have to still wear a mask.
Sure. Yeah. Grocery store, I kind of still want to wear a mask. I'm just saying.
Like, no, you know what? And it's not 100%. The vaccination is not 100%. It's 99% as far as that goes. And it's like anything. I mean, people still get, they still get sick, despite having whatever vaccinations, but at least it's a lot less.
A lot less.
And less of the long.
And it may not even be so much COVID, just I don't want your cooties. Like, I didn't mind wearing a mask on the plane. I'm like, you know what? I always think we're all really, really close to each other. And
Yes,
so
and breathing the same air.
yeah. And so I'm kind of okay that maybe you're not like, we're not, maybe some of it's not getting on me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
So you might see me with a mask, but I live in Irvine. Like there were masks before COVID was a thing. People wore masks here in Irvine.
No, and I think, there's reasons for it. Like somebody, if they have an underlying medical condition like tuberculosis, they better not be wearing, they should wear a mask to protect everybody else. Or if you're immunocompromised, I would wear a mask for sure.
Absolutely.
Around people. So
absolutely.
No judgment.
No judgment at all. We're a happy, loving group. But if you're listening to this, I love that we kind of went there because she's a doctor. So it's like, let's take a little advantage of her knowledge and all her things.
Yeah.
Dr. Lisa, thank you so very much. We appreciate you. How do we find you if we'd like to follow you on social media?
Okay. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Dr. Lisa Mom. And then if you want to follow me on Facebook, it's Lisa Aoyang Antone MD. That's my business page.
And don't worry if you're like, how do I spell all of that? It's fine. It'll be in the notes. You guys can just click on it and get to see Dr. Lisa. We appreciate you so much. Thank you. And yeah, you're amazing. I just love to see you soar, and it's well-deserved. So congrats.
Thank you, Rox. And thank you so much for all your time and effort. I mean, you're such an inspiration for all of us. You really are, because you just dive deep and you want everybody to succeed. And you do. You guide very gently, but you also make sure that we do it on our own. It isn't like you're holding our hand either. So that's a good thing.
Thank you for that. You guys are my passion. Very passionate about y'all. So
yes, you are. And we appreciate that. We really do. And it's evident.
Appreciate that too. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Thank you so much.
It's our anniversary month, 2 years now, so the Social Stories membership. And you might be wondering, why do I care, Roxanne? What does that mean for me? What that means for you is this. I was thinking about the best way to celebrate what the community has meant and how we've made an impact, a positive impact on network marketing. With that, and with just some of the bad press we've been getting in network marketing over the last month, I thought, you know what I'd love to do is put together a masterclass that will help anyone in network marketing get clearer on how to grow their business on social media and not be spammy tammy. And so this month I'm doing 11 total, 11 live masterclasses. We'll give you exactly that. Why should you come and join us for this? Well, you're going to get actionable steps, things you can do, 3 things you can do right now, right when you get off that masterclass, to really stop being spammy tammy. You'll get some clarity on whether you are spammy tammy, and then you're going to get perspective and those aha moments of what the purpose of network marketing and social media is, what social media is for your business, and how to use that in a way that attracts people to you and doesn't have them blocking you, ignoring you, avoiding, and talking about you. I'd love for you to join us. And if maybe you're like, I'm already there, Roxanne, awesome. Invite your upline, downline, sideline business partners to come to this very informative and very transformational masterclass. To sign up, simply go to socialstoriesmembership.com/webinar. Again, there are 11 webinars, and maybe I'll do more. Who knows? 11 masterclasses there for you to really, and that's chances. They're all the same. There's 11 chances for you to join us and really get perspective. We can say we don't want to be something, or we can say I don't want to be spammy tammy anymore. But if you don't know how to actually stop doing it, you're just going to revert to those bad practices, and nobody needs that. So I can't wait to see you there, and it's live. So I will see you then. socialstoriesmembership.com/webinar. There it is. I'm so glad that you had a chance to get to know Dr. Lisa. She's so inspirational, and her perspective on life is one that makes me happy and gives me a lot of insight, such knowledge. Little behind the scenes about what's going on these days. We're recording this at the 4th of June. So June is here. I just got back from picking up Baylor, who is behind me, but you can't see her. She's right there if you're watching. She's right behind me sleeping. She was with my sister for 2 weeks because, of course, we went to the Bahamas. And then when we could come back, we went on Memorial Day to go pick her up. It was also a year since I'd seen my family in person. to the date. Memorial Day, we snuck up there Memorial Day and drove up last year. We flew this time, and it was so good to see my family and to hug them and just like, so it was good all around. I have to tell you that Baylor, my sister Rochelle was watching Baylor and had her on a strict schedule that I think Baylor kind of liked. So when we came back here, she was kind of like, okay, all right, I guess I'm happy. But she definitely misses Rochelle, and it's sweet to see. But it is so good. I'm not gonna lie. There was one night where I couldn't really sleep, and she came and was right next to me on the side, and I just really watched her. Was watching Law and Order SVU for like 3 episodes, and she was right there next to me. I was just watching her. I'm like, oh, it's wild how these little creatures, they sneak into your heart and your world, and when they're gone, you miss them. So that was really exciting. And actually, come to think of it, her birthday's in a couple days too. She's going to be 6 years old. So that's kind of exciting. Feels good to get back into the rhythm. I will say, and this is for anyone who's taking vacations and all those things, when you stop doing what you're doing, even if it's for a week, even if it's for 2 weeks, it's hard to get back into the rhythm. I'm seeing that more so like with getting back on the Peloton. I'm like, I kind of like not, but I know I need to work out. So I actually have I'm easing into it, just letting myself do like 10 minutes or just do a strength and not expecting to get back to the 45-minute classes or the 60-minute boot camps I was doing before, because it just doesn't fit my fantasy right now. I want to love it and dive in. But it is funny, once you get into that rhythm of like no rules, your brain's like, I kind of like this. But I know the importance of getting back into it. It also has been interesting getting back into the cadence of just my business. And I think with it being the birthday month, that's really helped with it. There's something that one of my coaches told me was, there's power in stillness. And as business people, as a CEO that you are, it's important to actually schedule in times to be still. What I found is that by not taking any work with me on vacation, didn't have my computer. And when I went to go pick up Baylor, I was there for a few days. I think I turned my computer on once. And I didn't really do work. It's great because it gives me all these great ideas. And I am so excited as we go into the second half of the year and the third quarter. I'm so ready to dive in with my Social Stories members, and good things afoot of just being able to help them really grow. So this pause, this stillness was great. And if you haven't taken time to pause and have a little stillness, find room. And by stillness, I mean like go for a walk and have no agenda, no plan. Listen to music or don't listen to music, but give yourself time to just be still. It's hard to do. But what you're going to find is that's when you get clarity on what to do next. So I hope that you'll try and find some space for stillness this month, or this week, I should say. Well, you guys, it's so good to be with you. You are such an honor and a joy. And thank you for listening to Roxtalks. I can't wait to see you next week for another episode. And please don't forget, you're not ahead. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. Take care.